Michigan State Spartans to the podium. Leah Johnson, in her third season, led the Spartans to their most wins last season since 2019. Evie Doezema, junior outside, played in all 31 matches. And Taylor Preston on the far end, the junior outside hitter, averaged 3.25 kills per season last year at Oklahoma. Coach, opening statement?
Yeah, thank you. One, thank you all for being here and taking time to highlight this event and the sport of volleyball. What a special thing that we're creating, and being in the Big Ten to lead in that capacity is very special. So thank you, and let's continue. What I'd like to say, I get to sit in this seat with two young women who are here on behalf of their entire team, and they have the honor to speak about Michigan State and the green and white and the Spartan community. And so what is one season will be a lifetime of memories. And this summer, I'll tell you, they've been putting in the work to create those memories. Every day I pass by the gym and there's a new practice plan on the board. They may be running, they may be conditioning, they might be lifting, they might be practicing as I go into my office and they're on the court. And the amount of work and intensity that they're investing in one another without anyone else there is phenomenal. And I'm lucky to be sitting here alongside them, because on day one, I just get to show up and take over where they've left off. And that's a coach's dream.
We'll open it up to questions. And just a reminder, please state your name and affiliation.
Lincoln Arneal, Huskers Illustrated. Leah, Taylor was kind of a revelation last year. I don't know if a lot of teams knew what to expect with her coming from an international.
You're welcome.
Thank you. How do you prepare her for the second go-around now that teams are aware of her potential and what she can do?
So it's not as much as preparing Taylor any different than any player moving into their second season. I think the second year is the hardest year for anyone, for athletes, and I think it's the hardest year as a coach. I'm glad it's over. No, it was great. But Taylor is just more mature now, and I think for her, it's not like growing up in the U.S. where you see it and you hear it every day. The noise isn't as loud. And so she's just on a path, and then we're just going to keep her there rather than focusing on what to expect. But what my job is to surround her with good pieces and make sure there's more complements to her game so that she can't be the only known target. And I'm excited, especially with these two women next to me, what they're going to do to provide Taylor that support, and multiple players in our gym doing just that.
Coach and student athletes, we have some 7th and 8th graders from Brunson Academy who are aspiring journalists. They'd like to ask you a question.
My name is Lonnie Jackson, and I go to Mr. Bronson. I have a couple questions for you guys, but I'm going to start with one. So basically, when growing up, what was your favorite sport before volleyball?
I started with basketball. My dad got me into basketball, and I loved it and played all the way until my senior year of high school. I even had the opportunity to go on and play basketball in college, but I love volleyball too much, and I knew I could play at a bigger level and play more intense when I chose that.
Me growing up, I actually used to do swimming, and then my sister started playing volleyball, and I loved watching her play volleyball. I fell in love with the sport, so then I switched and I started playing volleyball, but swimming was my childhood sport for sure.
What do you believe to be strengths as an athlete?
Strengths as an athlete? Okay, I think one thing for sure is to, one, be resilient, 2, confidence, and 3, just not worrying about your mistakes. I think trusting the process is a huge thing, especially as athletes. You have lots of ups and downs, lots of roller coasters throughout your journey, but I think, you know your end goal, you know what you want to achieve, and I think just trusting yourself, trusting the people around you to make you better, I think those are 3 things that, at least for me, I strive to see as strengths in my life.
I would say one thing, especially in our gym, is we talk about our values, serve, grow, and honor. And the strengths of our team as athletes is that we are not out on that court alone, that we're always working every single day to serve each other. And we're not just trying to get better on our own and improve our own game, but we're also trying to help our teammates, whether they're playing above us or below us, or they're on the court or we're on the court. we are always helping out each other to improve their own game.
Okay, that was a good answer. Just saying, write that down. That was a good answer. Hey, I want to comment to you guys, the students that are here. It takes a lot of courage to show up and do something like this. And I hope you recognize how special that is that you arrived today to put yourself out there, to be courageous, and to enjoy this moment. So we're proud to be doing it with you. Thank you.
How's it going, Coach? Pete for Big Ten Plus. This question's for Taylor. Talk me through the conversation and the movement to get yourself to be a Spartan, because I've known Coach now for 3 years, and as a media member, she's always been kind and to us and willing to talk to it. What was it about her, particularly in her style, that brought you to Michigan State?
I think first off, aside from Coach for a second, Jake, our assistant coach Jake, was the very first person to reach out to me when I first entered the transfer portal, and I think that right off the bat just showed me how much they were dedicated to me and just how much they cared about me and wanted me. And then that obviously led to me talking with Coach Johnson, and I mean, just the person she is and the coach she is, I could just tell how much this team meant to her, the goals she had, the competing, like the mindset, everything. It was something that I was so eager to be a part of. And, being able to just talk to her as, a person, not even just as a player, it's something super special and something that I just was super attracted to. And I absolutely loved it. And I've loved every second being here and being coached under her. So,
Same.
Hi, Connor. Yeah. Hi, Connor Gilly with Impact 89. So you mentioned a little bit about your second year, and you said last year and again today that it was the hardest. It's always the hardest going for you. Made it through it. Lots of big improvements for this team, and I was wondering if you learned anything from last season and what you're looking to carry into this season.
Yeah, good question. It's interesting because I think that reflection happens in December, January, so I'm a little removed from the immediate because you build that into your spring training, right? So when I walked out of the fall, a big emphasis for the spring for us was in point management. When you watch Big Ten volleyball, you see very few mistakes. There are no one's giving you points here. All right, there are no friendly whoops, here's yours, enjoy. Everybody is sharp. The volleyball is clean. And so we spent a lot of time in the off season focused on our point management. Now from year 2, the big picture, what did we learn? And I've said this once today, but there's a cadence to how you do things. And you don't want any match to be bigger or more important than the next because they all matter. If your goal is postseason and then to make a run, every single match matters. It doesn't matter what name is on that jersey because we are the only name that matter to us, right? It's Michigan State. And so building a cadence where everything is normalized, that one thing isn't more or less than the other, but each equally important, and it's about who shows up in our jersey, day in, day out. Thank you.
What is something that motivates y'all every game to win that game?
I would say my teammates. Whether I'm having a good day or a bad day, I'm always playing for them, so that motivates me. I'd also say my family, because I am super close with my family, and that's why I chose to stay close to home. And when they come to support me, I just want to do the best I can and make them proud.
I would absolutely agree with that. My family and my teammates for sure. I would honestly give the same response, but to add to that, I would say the fact that we all have, the same end goal to make postseason, that's something that motivates all of us every single day in the gym to work harder, reach that goal. So I think the fact that, we all have that same end goal, we all know what we're here to do. And so, yeah, I'd say that.
What is the personal goal for this upcoming season?
A personal goal?
I would say for me personally, now switching primarily to the middle, is to be the best middle blocker on my team, to have my coach rely on me to be a really dominant force up at the net.
I would say to have one of the biggest point scorers on our team and in the Big Ten as a whole.
Evie,
Evie.
Evie, sorry, thank you, Evie.
You're good.
Evie, thinking last year, that Penn State match, where does that rank in the matches that you've been a part of, and how do you use that to motivate and carry over into this year?
I mean, that was a good feeling. I know the entire team, and all of the fans and our families. Just that match has a special place in our heart. Just because it was such a well-fought battle on both sides, and to come out on top against a ranked team like that, as we're building our program back up, it was surreal, and it was just showed the amount of effort and work we've really put into this team and how much more we can accomplish this year. And we're hoping to do it a million times over again. So.
Coach, you talked about getting things all figured out in your second year. Well, this year you got a West Coast trip to figure out too.
Jeez.
How do you prepare for that, and kind of what do
that?
those 4 new schools bring to the Big Ten?
Yeah, so it's back to the cadence. I'm going to say that again. They're just further away. They're not that different. They all have a unique style of play, just as any school, just like non-conference. Like when we prepare for non-conference, this is a team we haven't seen very often or at all. And so you're preparing for them through a different lens. You don't have history in the back of your mind. You don't have that matchup last year where you made an adjustment, you know that can work again. So you have the ability to lean on preseason game prep and to know what's worked for you through preseason to then carry you into conference play when you see an opponent you've never seen before. And then second, it's just a game. It's just one game. And we'll play that game in that moment, in that time zone, in that city, in that state, and then we'll do it again. And if we can keep things normal like that, and though, don't get me wrong, we're going to go, sightsee a little bit, and we're going to make the most of it because that's what we do in our program. We don't just get on a plane and sit in a gym all day. Like, we have life experiences and we have memories to make. But when it's game time, we're prepared because that's what we do every day.
Hi. Alana Goldman, 5 wins. Evie touched on it very briefly, this idea of changing positions and to be able to support your team. Not the first player to come in today with that sentiment. So, Coach, how are you thinking about the versatility of players in the recruiting process? And then for our athletes, how does that change the energy in the competition in the practice gym?
So I'll start. I think as we're recruiting, there's one thing that's important to me. Every player has to have something elite. So when I'm recruiting you, what is your X factor? What's the thing that right now you do at the most elite level in your age group or in the region, in your position? Then what's the next best thing that we think we can develop for you? Because it's not about what you're not good at. Those things will take a lot more time to get better. Right? You're going to be here in 6 months, a year and a half. Okay, then what's your top 3 best things? So from there, whether that means it's a different position, a different offensive tempo, a different training style that I think might support your development best, we talk about that from day one. And I've had athletes say no to me because of it, because they identify a certain way, and I've had athletes say, oh my gosh, that's really exciting, let's go. And having versatility to recruit great people and great athletes allows me the flexibility then to put a lineup together that may not be as prototypical as you might assume. And right now that creativity has been an advantage for us.
I would say as a player, when I was younger, I identified specifically just as an outside hitter, and it wasn't until I got here that I opened my mindset to being more versatile. And I'm especially under coach and switching to play right side and now middle. That is probably the thing I give advice the most about for young volleyball players is the more versatile you are, the more you can offer a coach and the more you stand out against other players and the more likely you are to be on the court and help your team.
So, Coach, what is Evie's elite ability and what skills does she have that allow her to transition to the middle?
When I arrived and she was recruited to the roster, I was excited because, well, one, she has something you can't teach, and that's physicality, right? But two, she has a steadiness to her game. And so what you can see in Evie is a predictability, a reliability. The thing that we got excited about was a lot of her power, she has great control and command. But when you look at a middle, you don't always see the finesse game. Well, Evie has that from her experience on the pin, but we saw her power show up when she was hitting faster tempo sets. So that didn't play to the left side as well. So how do we combine those? How do we make this finesse an elite skill for her in a position where her power can show up and maybe separate her? And so she runs the slide at a really elite level. She's very good laterally pin to pin as a blocker, always available in transition. And who knows, I might just put her on the left so Nebraska has no idea.
Coach, third year into this program, when we first met, you were just going to become a mom, and now you have grown the team and your family. Talk to the young women out there that are thinking about getting into coaching and saying you could do this too, because you've proven that, despite whatever others may seem as limitations or starting a family life, you've done so, and you've recruited well, and you've grown this team to where you want it to be and further.
Yeah, thank you. And it's special to be able to be a parent and a coach, and there's many men and women alike, right, who are parents and who show up every day wearing multiple hats in their capacity. But there is something different about going through a pregnancy and going through a delivery and going through breastfeeding and going through sleepless nights as a mother that has made this an exceptionally different kind of challenge as a parent, because my time is not my own in those circumstances. And yet I still had to develop a program for maternity leave. I still had to develop a program while my baby's in NICU, or I'm in the hospital for 8 days because I have an emergency C-section. No one knows that. No one cares. But here's the thing, they do when you recognize who matters. And so they care. And that made me want to show up. So when I speak to young women who aspire to coach, you have to focus on who your circle is. Right? The circle isn't someone out there who thinks, oh, well, she won't have time to do this. She'll be distracted. Or also when you're hiring assistants, well, they're probably in their childbearing years, so that could be a disadvantage. No one's saying it out loud, but they're thinking it. And so what I would say to you, young women, continue to persist. Persist and persist, because it's hard and possible. It's hard and exciting. Right? It's hard and an advantage. It's not or. We have to take or out of the options. It is and. And these are some world-class women who are going to go do huge things in their line of work, whether it's coaching or not.
We have time for one final question.
Come on, give me a hard one. Oh, okay. Just kidding. Give me whatever one you want.
What skills would you like to improve throughout the season?
Oh, good one.
Me personally, I would love to improve on my blocking, which I already have come a long way with. We've been working a lot at it, but I'd say that's my main one for sure. I think another thing would just be continuing to work on my point management skills, as we touched on before. That's something that we've been continuing to work on a lot throughout the spring and the summers, but my number one would definitely be blocking.
To touch on switching to middle again, I've learned the basics very, very well, and I've mastered the basics. Well, not mastered, but we're getting there. But to find more range and find those shots that are hidden that I know I've got.
And surprising coaches are always trying to improve too, right? Don't forget that. We're all seeking the best of our craft. So one of my goals this year is to continue to find ways to give more voice to the athlete, give more space to the athlete, and let them be in charge of this season. And I would say that to you guys as youth and young people, find your voice like you are today. Keep creating more space for yourself, right? Because your potential is endless, and I'm excited to continue to create space for them.
Leah, Evie, Taylor, thanks so much. We appreciate your time.
Thank
Best of luck this
you.
season. Yeah, you bet.
Thank you, and thank you guys.
Thank you for having
Go
us.
green!
Go white!